We are live. We are live. We are live. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. As Facebook builds an audience, I'm excited. I'm here with my girl, Sergeant DG Angel on StylzFM, Jamaica, and we are going to talk about some much needed discussion about domestic violence and the effects in Jamaica. So I'm very excited. Very hi, Lisa. Excited. I'm on air in Jamaica right now. Hi guys, if you're joining me live, I'm waiting to get on air.
Good evening, my listeners. Welcome to In the Know of the Law, another exciting program. My name is Rose Green. I'm a sergeant of police, and my friends call me DG Angel. We're going to have a wonderful evening this evening, and we have a lot of information to pass on to you. This program is designed to educate persons on the sections and legislation of the law. Stay tuned, don't touch it down, because at the end of the show, you shall know the law.
Hey, Kelly.
My listeners, we are still on the topic of domestic violence as it plagues our society. But this evening we're going to go a little off track. Instead of telling you about the legislation and the sections, we're going to be speaking to someone who can touch base with us. And I am super excited. This person, she was born in Jamaica, Kingston, and at the age of 12 years old, we adopted her in the parish of Portland. I'm going to tell you more about her, but I'm so excited that I just have to just shout out the name. Mrs. Joan Randall, welcome to StylzFM and In the Know of the Law.
Hello, 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 Miss DG Angel. Sergeant, I should say. Let me give you your correct title. Thank you for having me on your show today.
You're most welcome. For the listeners who knew Joan, when Joan was here, she was a Joan Taxel.
Yes.
She's going to be speaking to us this evening, though, and she'll tell you more about herself. She's a motivational speaker. But Joan, we are on the topic of domestic violence.
Yes.
And why is it you think you can teach the person? And I want you to tell us a little about yourself when you were Joan Taxel. And then we'll go into Joan Taxel Randall. But tell us a little about yourself as Joan Taxel and how you can relate to domestic violence.
Yes, absolutely. So most people know me as Joan Thaxter because that's my maiden name from Jamaica. A lot of people know my dad, who worked at the hospital in Port Antonio for years and years and years. I am a daughter of Portland and a proud Jamaican woman. And I left Jamaica 29 years ago, 28 or 29 years ago.
25 years ago.
I'm a grandmother. So I left Jamaica 29 years ago and came to the States because I met and fell in love with this great guy who I thought was going to be give me the world because he was my knight in shining armor. And so I migrated to the U.S. with him and came to the U.S. and experienced years and years of domestic abuse. And so you asked me the question of, can I speak on the topic of domestic violence? Absolutely, because I experienced majority of the forms of domestic violence emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse and emotional abuse. I experienced the majority of what's in the cycle of power and control as it relates to domestic abuse. So yes, I am a subject matter expert on the topic. I am a certified domestic violence speaker, and I am a certified advocate for domestic violence in the U.S.
So you have said quite a lot. I want to thank my kind sponsors for this program and this opportunity for us to be able to reach out to the wider public. Native Audio and Equipment Rental Services and Braham's Texaco, and to all my listeners in Jamaica and worldwide. We're in fact speaking to Mrs. Joan Taxter Randall. But Joan, when you said physical violence, are you like saying physical as if somebody beat you up, thump you? I mean, is that physical or is it in your mind?
No, it's physical. I experienced physical abuse. I was kicked down a flight of stairs. I was punched in the face until it bled. I was slapped in the face. I had hot water poured on me. So yes, physical abuse, as in when my partner, my husband, put his hands on me. So yeah, not in my mind, on my body.
How did it start, Joan? Because you said you were in love. You were in a typical, you migrated, you were in love. This was a typical marriage and you thought that this was it. How did it start? What were the signs that you saw?
You know what? I'm going to give you this scenario. I did not know him well enough. So in hindsight, if I had to go back and think through the relationship, the way it started and how I got to be in the U.S., it was not a long relationship. I was so happy that I met someone and I felt like Jamaica had gotten small for me and I wanted to go out in the big, open, wide world of the U.S. where it's milk and honey and all of the, the glam and the fabulous life and all the opportunities. That was my mindset. So the first opportunity that presented itself, I jumped on it. The abuse started immediately. The minute I got to the U.S., the very first week, I think it was, we had a conversation and he said something to me and I responded in a way that he did not appreciate and he slapped me in my face. That was the first sign. The same week I came to the U.S.
Wow.
Yes.
I know you personally.
Yeah.
When I look at you, I can see somebody that has so much positive things going for you. Not for a minute can I imagine you being slapped and punched.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like for you, though, in terms of emotionally and mentally, realizing that you're in a strange, you're in a strange country with who you thought was the love of your life, apparently a lot of family members around. How did you deal with it?
It was very hard. It was a difficult life because I felt trapped. First of all, I lived in an area where it was just myself and my two daughters and my then husband. I was not close to any family. I was pretty much sheltered. I could not have friends, and very rarely could I have people call me on the phone. There were days and period of times when I couldn't even answer the door if the mailman knocked or if the mailman, somebody came to deliver a package. I could not open the door. There were periods as well where I had to keep the blinds to the house closed. I felt isolated. I felt alone. I felt shut off from the world. I felt desperate. I lost myself. I did not know who I was anymore. I felt as if God had just left me in the middle of nowhere. And my parents were still in Jamaica. I had sisters and brothers in the U.S., but I was too embarrassed to share with them what I was experiencing. My pride wouldn't allow me to tell that I was being abused.
And I can, attest that a lot of persons can relate, the embarrassment and the fact that they do not want to share this experience with them.
Right.
With anyone because of embarrassment and what you just explained.
Right.
How did you get through, though, to coming from the person who was abused to saying, listen, enough is enough? What was the breaking point for you?
You're not going to believe this if I tell you, but my two daughters saved my life. And because I no longer knew who I was. I was a shell of myself. If people looked at me and said, oh, you're beautiful, I would just think that they're lying and that they're just like conspiring to say that so I could feel good, but they were lying to me. But I started writing, and a friend of mine gifted me at work with a journal, and I started writing, and I felt as if I was able to pour from my soul what was happening to me and put it on paper. So I almost, writing allowed me to separate Joan from the girl that was being abused. So I felt like I had two different personalities. When I wrote, I poured everything out. But when I closed the book, I went back to that person who felt desperate and alone and ashamed. And, I thought of things. I thought of committing suicide. I really toyed with the idea of going to sleep. And when I thought about that, my daughter said, no, Mom, we won't make this happen. And I have a book coming out this year where there's a lot more that will be in the book. But my daughters saved my life. My oldest one was packing things in the attic, that the day when I said, I'm going to go, that everything will be packed and we can go. And I did not know this. So, I got to a point where I was so broken. And I leaned on those two little girls, and they helped me. And we decided that we were going to put an action plan together. It all started because I went to work one day after being beaten, and there was blood on my clothes. And a manager saw it and said, enough is enough. We're going to intervene. And that's how it started.
Your daughters witnessed the abuse?
My oldest one did. Yes, the baby did. One of the worst physical confrontation I had, my baby was sitting on the bed when he was just punching me in the face, and there was just blood. And she started screaming because I ran to grab the phone to call the cops. And he grabbed the phone out of the wall, the drywall and everything came out with the phone. And he stood and he looked at me and he said, if you call the cops in my home, I will kill you and be happy to spend the rest of my life in prison. And I believed him. I believed him. My daughter.
For the persons who don't know you, I know you.
Yeah.
Super beautiful. Your self-esteem is at the peak, and you motivate me just by having a normal conversation with you.
Yeah.
How did you get though from point A to point B? For the persons listening out there and saying, "Wow, I can relate. I'm still going through what Joan Taxer went through before she became Joan Taxer Randall." How do you help someone now to move away from point A to point B?
I think the thing that people have to know, when you're in a domestic violence situation, the perpetrator or the abuser controls you totally. It's a power and control mechanism. They control your thoughts, your action, your feeling. A lot of times you are afraid of what they will do. There's coercion, there's intimidation, there is the fear that they will take your children away from you. There's also the fear that if you leave, what do you do? Where are you going to go? Who is going to help you? Financially, you're not in a position to do for yourself and your children. So do you stay for that sake because you have a roof over your head? Or do you leave, and try to make it out there in the unknown? And so a lot of people fear because the person that's doing the abusing is controlling you with total power over what you do and say. There is a fear. And then you have to get to a point where you're so broken. And this happens too. For the women that leave, they get to a point where they can't take it anymore. Either because they're being threatened or they feel as if they stay, he's going to kill her or she is going to kill him. And they realize that it's a toxic environment for their children. So they get to the point where they can't take it anymore and they decide to leave. And that's what happened to us. We decided to leave because and it's not like I knew where to go for resources or education or awareness. I didn't know where to get that. And so that's why now I'm such an advocate, because the women that are in that situation don't understand their power. There is a power of choice that we all have. And until we can exercise that power of choice, we will continue, or women will continue to stay in those situations because they feel as if they have no choice. But I'm here to say,
I have to get you back on this program.
yes.
To get into all of what we can do. But let me just ask you, because I don't know, every time I come on this program, I try to emphasize that domestic violence is not, it's not a gender-based thing. It's not females alone.
No.
And I'm being accused of being on the female side most of the time. And let me just say to my listeners that, not for a minute am I saying, and I keep saying this, that men are not being abused. It's just the volume of how women are abused, while we tend to focus more on the women. But we know that there are men out there that are going through abuse, and if for any reason you're being abused, you also need help. So we are not saying that you as a man can't get the help that you need.
Right.
But Joan, you have moved on.
Yes.
And my final question for you as it relates to Joan Taxter.
Yeah.
Did you have persons that you could confide in? Did you have persons that you felt comfortable to speak with about what you were going through?
You know what? I know that I had. My sister is my best friend, my youngest sister, Shelly. And I knew that I could have spoken to my sister. But I know the type of person she is. And I was just afraid that she would go get someone to come to the house and there would be a big, chaotic situation. And I didn't want any trouble for anyone. So I did not confide in anyone except someone at work who was my manager. That was the only person that I confided in. And I'm glad I did because she ultimately helped me get out.
I'm finished talking to Joan Taxter because, my mind is going to be so blown. As I say, Joan, you have to come back on this program. Tell us a little now about Joan Taxter Randall, this person who was transformed.
Yes.
Great motivation. You weren't abused and then you got out and kept it to yourself. You're now worldwide, through different mediums.
Yes.
To help. We have women in this country that need to hear your voice.
Yes.
What do they do to get motivated and move on?
So there is a lot of things. Women have to just realize that they have the power of choice. And once you get out of a domestic violence situation, you will maintain and become a victim if you don't try to change your mindset. A lot of times when you get out of the domestic violence situation, you go, woe is me. This is what happened. I was abused. I'm a victim. This is what I lost my stuff. I lost my children. I lost all of this. But you have got to get to an understanding from a mindset perspective to say, I am out. Wow. I no longer am in this space. Now, what am I going to do to get to the next level? So you find yourself at a crossroad and you have a choice, right? You can choose to remain in that victimization mindset, that victim mindset that keeps you stuck, that keeps you blaming yourself, that keeps you in a place where you feel like you can't go forward. Or you can choose to get to the place where a door of opportunity awaits you and all you have to do is walk through that door and make a decision to be the best that you can be. It is a choice. It comes down to a personal choice. It is all about your mindset and what you decide to do to move forward. So again, it's up to you. Yes, some people need to get help. Some people, the psychological effect is so profound that they may need to seek help. And I recommend that for anyone that may want to seek help from a psychological standpoint or talk to a doctor to get some help to move past it. But others, like myself, I just decided that if God brought me out of that, then I own it and I owe it to myself and my children to make up my mind to be the best that I can be for myself and them. Because it wasn't about me, it was about my children. And so I made a decision to, choose who do I want to be. And Delrose, I have to say, when I ran away, because I ended up running away from my husband, I went to Florida and I ended up homeless. See, people see me now, but don't realize the journey that got me to this part.
Yes. In your autobiography, you say you're a victim and not a victim, and I can attest to that because I'm around you. Joan, what I want to know though, because we're getting jealous in Jamaica, we have situations here that we need persons like yourself and Lorna to see the
Yeah.
We can relate that our females can come on a one-on-one basis and sit and talk to you.
Yes.
And look in those beautiful eyes that will just send us, a power of strength to another female. What are your plans for Jamaica as it relates to, imparting what you have to persons to carry them forward?
Well, that's a very good question. Lorna, myself, and another young lady is coming to Jamaica in July, and we're having a women's and girls conference on July 21st. More details to come about that, but we want to start there. I also think it is very, very important that domestic violence education, awareness, and resources is made available to high schools, because we've got to start somewhere. In Jamaica, the circle of violence is generational, right? Parents have seen their parents and children have seen their parents, and it just goes around in a circle. Great-grandparents to grandparents to parents to the children. The way a mother talks to their child, the way a father talks to their child, the hitting, the abuse, the fighting. The child goes to school and come home and mommy and daddy fighting every day. And then the next minute they're saying they love you. So a lot of times children and young people associate love with abuse. And so the cycle starts all over again. So we've got to break it somewhere. So it's important that in the high schools, or even prior to high schools, that children understand, what does it look like? What is domestic violence? It's not only hitting, it is verbal abuse, it's psychological abuse, it's coercion, it's control, it's financial abuse, it's the man taking the money from the woman when she makes it and she can't get any, or vice versa. So, is the awareness, the education, and the resources, and setting that up in the schools, and then educating the adults, to say, this has got to stop. And if you want your children to live a different life free from abuse, you've got to start making some changes. So that's my goal for Jamaica, to just come and just educate people, give them the awareness, let them know what it looks like, because some people are in it for so long that they don't even recognize that what they're going through is called abuse. So
I feel so much power and energy from you. I can't help myself by saying that I know it's the fact that you came to Portland from you were 12 years old. We adopted you.
Yes.
You're now, I can say, Portlander. I feel the Portland energy coming through your ears, girl.
Yes. That's the passion. I mean, when I think about a lot of people use their pain and allow their pain to just be a burden on their shoulders. My pain, I have turned into my passion and my purpose. And I'm persistent, and I'm going to persevere, and this is my platform. It is no longer about Joan Thaxter Randall, DG, Sergeant DG. This is now about what can Joan Thaxter Randall do to help others. It's no longer about me. I am totally removed from self. My goal is to serve. I am here to serve. What I do in terms of speaking and talking about violence and coaching, it's not about me. It is about service to others. How can I get other people to see that? Look at me right now. I have my own company. I'm speaking all across the globe. I am coaching. I'm doing all these things. But not too long ago, I was a broken, beaten, violated woman who ran away from her husband with 10 trash bags. When I left him, I had 10 black trash bags with my 2 little girls. Went to Florida, became homeless, had no place to live. And here I am today. That is just to show you that it is possible that no matter what you've been through in life, especially domestic violence, don't ever let that define you. Domestic violence does not define anyone. And you can get past it, and you can break that mold, and you can change your life and change the life of your children and be an example to our youth that's coming up that say no to domestic violence. It's unacceptable. And we have got to come together as a community, as a church, as a government, to put resources in place to protect our women and children and the men that are being abused as well.
Joan, I know you love the color yellow, and that's because you're so bright. You shine. But let me just say that time flies when important information goes out, and we are actually at the end of the program.
Yes.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And I'm going to put you on the spot, though, because you have so much more to offer.
Yeah.
Listeners, that I can tell you that I normally ask persons off here to tell me the next time they'll be with me.
Yes.
But I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to make sure that when the world does not hear Joan Taxerano, they know it's she who forfeited.
Right.
Any other day that you're available, when can you come back on this program and continue part 2? Because you can't leave it here.
I can do it next week. Or Friday. Wednesday, Friday. You tell me when. I am available for you. This is my platform. This is my passion. And, you know, sometimes I feel like I am one little grain of sand in a big, wide ocean. And thank you for giving me the platform to share this message to my home, my people back in Jamaica, because it is time that we all rally together and do something to break this epidemic, this cycle. And to your point, it doesn't only affect women, it affects men as well. And we've got to stop it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my listeners, I sit in the studio and, you know, I feel like I should arrest the staff upstairs and continue for an hour and not let me come back on Friday. But Joan, let me say on behalf of my listeners and on behalf of the staff and management of StylzFM, that it was indeed our pleasure to have you speaking to us this evening from a personal point of view and a professional point of view.
Yes.
We're going to continue either this Friday or any day you choose next week to continue this program, because I know you have a lot more.
I do.
Is that correct?
That is correct. And there's something that's great in Jamaica that I wanted to share, but if you don't have time, I'm not going to go into it, so we can leave it for the next time.
No problem, because guess what? You are coming back either this Friday or any day you choose on next week.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, my listeners, I have been talking to the beautiful and very, very, very dynamic Mrs. Joan Taberano. She was born in Kingston. She left, and she came to Portland, rather. She left for the United States of America, and she went through abuse of every type, like you heard her said. But she did not leave it. She had a testimony. And she's not a selfish person. I met her because she's on every highway and byway. Anything. Domestic violence is not the end of your life.
No.
That's how I gravitated towards her. It was my pleasure. And thank you once again, Joan. My listeners, we have come to the end of another program. I want to tell you thanks, though. And thanks to all the sponsors. You know, Braham Texaco and Native Audio and Equipment Rental Services. We're going to be having a walkathon for before domestic violence and with the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Portland Division. I promise you on Friday when I come and I'll tell you more about that. And we're going to get more involved. I'm just saying that I'll announce the other day for Mrs. Joan Taxerano, because we're going to be getting into, you know, the different things that you can doing for us worldwide to include our beautiful island of Jamaica.
Yes.
So once again, we had her talking to, and believe me, it was a pleasure. Do you remember you can email me at the know of the law at StylzFM.com, you know, regarding questions or anything about the laws of Jamaica. That's it for today's episode of In the Know of the Law. You know, I love it, right? Engineer Kelly, I can't even not say thanks, you know, for always here coaching me, and for all my listeners, and the superintendent of Portland, Mr. Rex Waring. I thank you for this great opportunity. For my partner and friend, Mr. Jason Clark, and for my manager, Antoine Pierce. Each even come and tell me, you speak slowly, stop your door there. So actually I have a manager. He's 12 years old, but he's a rising star.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. I am so excited that you joined. As you heard, I just wrapped up the interview with StylzFM. She's Sergeant DJ Angel from Jamaica, and I'm so excited about the work that she's doing and the fact that she is making a difference by bringing domestic violence and domestic violence awareness to the forefront by being on the air 3 times a week. In the Know of the Law is her radio program. And I'm really just excited that she had me on. And there's so much more to talk about. As you know, domestic violence in Jamaica has reached an all-time epidemic. 35% of women are being abused. That's 1 in 2.5. Really and truly, if you think about it, 1 in 3. And those are cases that are being reported. Those are not cases that are happening in the rural countries of Jamaica where they don't go to the police to report it. So the reported cases are 35%. That's 1 in about 2.5. So I'll say 1 in 3. So just imagine what's happening. But they're taking it a step further, guys. They are killing women. They're cutting off their heads, right? Men are killing their spouses. And last week, 2 weeks ago, one cut off their head. So it's I can't even imagine. A lot of times the government will say, let the church deals with it, right? But the church cannot be the only organization or entity to deal with domestic violence. Why? Because the pastors are also abusing their spouses as well. Now, for those of you who hear about domestic violence, what is domestic violence? It is it's a repetitive pattern of abuse where one intimate partner exercises power and control over the other intimate partner. So it could be men on men, women on women, or a woman and man relationship, right? It doesn't excuse it. So if it's a relationship between two men, doesn't excuse it. If it's a relationship between two women, it doesn't excuse it. And if it's a relationship between a man and a woman, it doesn't excuse it, right? 1 in 3 women are abused, right? 1 in 7 men are abused. That's the US statistic. So we have got to come together as a community, as a group, as a people, men and women, and make a difference. Most of the advocates are women, right? I would say 90% of advocates are women. We need some men that can step up to the plate and say, I want to be a part of this. And I want to talk to the men to say, hey, what's going on here? And if you go back to a lot of these domestic violence situations, you will find out that it stems from childhood. My ex-husband never felt like he was loved by his mother, right? And his father died when he was young. And he went through a lot of different things in his life. And so there was this rage that was built up. And he was 2 different person. He was a person outside the home that was amazing and charismatic and dynamic. And then in the home with me, he was just this person. I don't know who he was going to be at times. I lived on eggshells. Now, there were periods of time where it was awesome. There were months when he would be just cool and calm and collected. And then there were times when he was just off the charts. So, and the thing about Jamaica is I was able to get in and look at a law, right? Their latest update on the law for domestic violence was updated in 2005. That is 12 years ago before anything else is touched with the law. I mean, I understand that there is a protection order, or you can get an occupation order from your abusive partner, but there's so much more that needs to be done. The most important thing that I just found out, and DJ and Angel and I will talk about it later, is that the Governor General of Jamaica has just announced that they will be building 2 domestic violence shelters in Jamaica. That is a big deal. The land is already identified and approved, and the plans are in order. And so the organization that's making this happen, I think it's I can't even find which one it is. But there's an organization that is going to be spearheading this initiative. So I am so excited that something is being done for women in terms of a shelter. I understand the difficulty of leaving, because some women don't know where they're going to go, right? Not being able to know where you're going to go with your children when your spouse, especially, is the financial breadwinner. He, does he brings in the money. Where do you go with your children? But women, if you're out there, whether you're in the States or you're in Jamaica or anywhere you are listening to me right now, know that you have power. You have the power of choice. Do not stay in an abusive relationship because of your children. You will destroy them. The cycle won't end if you stay because of your children. So you have to leave because of your children. Give your children an environment where they don't go to bed at night nervous and worried and crying because they don't know if they're going to hear their mom cry or their dad cry, or someone scream, or somebody pulls a knife, or somebody fires a shot because the violence, right? Also, when a woman is trying to leave, the man gets more dangerous, either the woman, whoever it is. But that abusive partner usually gets more dangerous when they know that the person is trying to leave. So make sure you have a strategic exit plan. One of my speaking program talks directly about an exit strategy. There's a 5-step strategy to leaving safely with your children. And I provide that as a coaching program or a speaking program. But I want to thank you so much. Angel, I love you, love you, love you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to jump on a radio station in Jamaica and just talk a little bit about my experience and my passion and my purpose that God placed me on this earth for. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me about what I went through. What I went through, I was supposed to go through it because I am the vessel, or one of the vessels, that God is using to help others. So don't feel bad that I went through it. When I was in it, I didn't want to be in it. But now, as I look back, that was my purpose. That was my cross to bear. Jesus bore the cross, all the lashes for our sins. I bore the cross of domestic violence so I can help others. And now I am a servant. I am a servant here to help others get out of this situation. You can thrive. You can be anything that you want to be. I am 52 years old, right? And I am living my best life now. Thank you for joining me. I love you all. Thanks for all the responses. Thank you for all the comments. I am going to sign off because I've been on here too long. God bless you. I'm going to post this to my Facebook page and also to Sergeant DJ Angels Green page as well. Love you all, and we'll talk soon. Take care. God bless you. Bye.